Hello, I am Ali, and I'm joined today by Sophia.
Hi, everyone. Really glad to be here.
Welcome to the Copilot podcast studio. This podcast is designed specifically to help English learners improve their listening and vocabulary through practical, everyday, daily life topics.
Yeah, and today's topic is a really great one. We're talking about goals, which is honestly fantastic for your motivation, but it's also just a perfect way to practice your English.
It really is. I mean, usually when we talk about the future, we treat it like this hazy, abstract painting. We throw these vague, optimistic words around and just sort of hope it eventually dries into this beautiful landscape, you know?
Oh, definitely. Like at a New Year's Eve party.
Exactly. People are standing around making these massive declarations like, I want to be successful, or I want to travel more, or I want to learn a language. It's all just a general vibe.
It's very impressionistic, and I think we intentionally use those broad strokes because, well, broad strokes don't require any immediate action from us.
Yep.
But when you look at how things actually get built in the real world, that abstract canvas just has to go out the window.
It has to.
Yeah, you have to shift from a feeling to an absolute schematic. Like a building doesn't go up based on a vibe. It goes up based on exact, really unforgiving measurements.
Which brings us perfectly into today's deep dive.
Mhm.
We are taking a fascinating look at the exact measurements of our aspirations. We have this source document in front of us, and it's titled, Talking About Your Future Goals, English for Ambitions.
Yeah, and at first glance, it looks like a very straightforward language guide.
Totally. It reads like a vocabulary worksheet you might get on the first day of an introductory English class.
It really does masquerade as a basic grammar lesson.
It completely does. But our mission for this deep dive is to unpack this text for what it really is underneath, which is a highly effective psychological toolkit.
Right, because we are going to explore how the exact words and phrases you choose to use can literally transform your abstract aspirations into concrete realities.
Yes, we're looking at how language doesn't just describe your reality. It actually actively constructs it.
And that is such a crucial distinction. The text sets up this very powerful core premise right in the introduction. It states very simply that sharing your goals is inspiring.
Which implies that just keeping it in our heads isn't enough.
Exactly. Communicating our future to other people matters immensely. It creates social accountability, it builds a support system. And most importantly, the actual act of speaking forces us to crystallize our own messy intentions.
So for everyone listening right now, whether you are currently learning a new skills or maybe you're planning a trip, this deep dive is going to give you a surprisingly simple framework.
A framework to help you articulate your future without feeling completely overwhelmed.
Exactly. But before we can construct this future, we need to understand our building blocks. The source doesn't just throw words around. It gives highly specific definitions for 5 key terms.
Right, those 5 terms being goal, ambition, plan, dream, and improve.
Now, on the surface, people tend to just throw those 5 words into a blender, right? We use them interchangeably every single day.
We really do. We treat them all as synonyms for, like, stuff I want to do later.
Yeah. But the text forces us to look at the distinct meaning of each word. Let's walk through their exact definitions.
Okay, let's do it.
So the source defines a goal as something you want to achieve. A dream is a cherished aspiration.
Okay.
An ambition is a strong desire. A plan is a detailed proposal. And to improve is to make something better.
Those are very distinct when you actually lay them out like that.
They are, but I have to push back a little here. Aren't a goal and a dream basically pointing at the exact same thing? I mean, aren't they the same destination?
They might point at the same destination, sure, but the vehicle you're using to get there and the emotional armor you wear for the journey, those are entirely different.
Okay, let me try an analogy here, see if I'm getting this.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's say building your future is quite literally like building a physical house.
Okay, I like that.
In that scenario, the dream, that cherished aspiration we talked about, that's the beautiful rough sketch you draw on a napkin while you're sitting at a cafe.
Right, the napkin sketch.
Yeah, it's entirely emotional. It's this grand vision of where you want to live.
And importantly, that napkin sketch has absolutely zero structural integrity yet.
Zero.
But it does hold all the initial inspiration.
Exactly. Then you have the plan, which the text defines as a detailed proposal. That is the actual architectural blueprint.
The math.
The unforgiving math, yes.
Yeah.
The required materials. Then ambition, the strong desire. That's the physical energy to actually build it. It's the momentum.
Probably the coffee keeping the crew going too.
100%. And finally, the goal is the physical act of laying the final brick. It's the measurable achievement.
That is a great analogy. And by separating those concepts, the source is actually doing something really smart. It's protecting your ego.
How so?
Well, look at the text's definition of a dream as a cherished aspiration. That word, cherished, carries a massive emotional load. Think about what it means to cherish something.
You protect it. You keep it safe.
Exactly. Dreams are delicate. And because they're so tied up in our identity, if a dream fails, it feels like a personal failure. It hurts.
Right, because you're failing at the core vision of who you want to be.
But then look at the definition of a plan. It's just a detailed proposal. If a proposal fails, you don't question your entire identity.
Oh, wow. You just revise the proposal.
Yes, you just sit down and redraw the blueprint. By defining these words so strictly, the source explains why it matters to separate the emotional weight of a dream from the practical, step-by-step nature of a plan.
So you're allowed to be deeply attached to the dream on the napkin, but you have to remain completely objective about the blueprint.
Exactly. And once you have the vocabulary down, the next step is stringing those words together.
Right, to signal your level of commitment to the world.
Yeah, which moves us from individual words to the source's useful phrases and practical tips.
This is where we get into the actual grammar of intention. The text gives us phrases like, my goal for this year is to, or I am working hard to achieve my dream of.
But then it makes this crucial distinction in its first two practical tips. It tells us exactly when to use certain verbs.
This part fascinated me. It says, use I'm going to for plans that you have already decided, and use I'd like to for dreams or wishes that are not fully planned yet.
That is the dividing line right there. Decided versus undecided.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. Imagine you are in a meeting or you're just talking to a friend. Is it really that critical to draw a hard line between I'm going to and I'd like to?
You think it's too rigid?
Well, doesn't I'd like to feel a bit safer? It's less pressured. It doesn't sound overly arrogant, you know?
You've just highlighted the exact psychological trap that the text is trying to dismantle.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I'd like to is safer. It's a linguistic safety net. When you say, I'd like to learn Spanish, you are framing your ambition as a wish.
Just a preference.
Right, like saying you'd like to have pizza for dinner. And the trick our brains play on us is, if a year passes and you haven't learned Spanish, you haven't actually failed. You only ever said you'd like to do it.
Oh, wow. So it's a built-in excuse for inaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We use it to shield ourselves from our own procrastination. But by categorizing I'm going to, specifically for decided plans, you are forced to move out of the safety of a wish.
You burn the safety net.
You do. You step into a concrete commitment. It clarifies your intent, not just for the person listening, but for you, the person speaking.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But publicly committing to a decided plan like that can feel really intimidating.
Oh, absolutely terrifying for a lot of people.
And when we feel intimidated, our natural tendency is to over-explain. We start using 50 words when 5 would do, just to sound smart and cover our bases.
We build a wall of words to hide behind.
Which bridges us perfectly into the source's third practical tip, which honestly is the most comforting part of this whole guide.
Oh, the simplicity rule.
Yes. The tip is, don't be afraid to keep it simple. It's more important to communicate clearly than to be perfectly complex.
There is such a brilliant irony in that statement.
Right. I mean, think about the analogy of planning a trip from earlier. Communicating your goals is kind of like packing a suitcase for that trip.
Okay, how so?
If you try to sound perfectly complex, you're basically overpacking. You're stuffing the suitcase with jargon and unnecessary details, and the listener gets bogged down trying to carry your heavy, overstuffed sentences.
That is so true. The listener just gets exhausted.
But if you pack just the essentials, clear communication, your message travels faster. It arrives perfectly intact.
I love that. And it's so ironic because in a guide literally titled English for Ambitions, the ultimate advice isn't to sound hyper-intellectual.
You'd think they would want you to use massive buzzwords.
Right. But they say prioritize clear communication over everything else. And this really connects to the bigger picture of information overload today.
We are constantly bombarded with data.
We are. So when you speak simply about your goals, people can actually understand you instantly. And if they understand you, they can actually support you.
Exactly. So we have the vocabulary, we have the decided phrasing, and we have the rule of simplicity. But the source doesn't let you just sit on this knowledge.
No, it does not. It demands immediate application.
It has a practice exercise at the end, and it requires you to write a 3-sentence exercise.
And those 3 sentences have to answer 3 very specific questions.
Question 1, what is your goal? Question 2, when do you want to achieve it? And question 3, how will you work on it?
The what, the when, and the how.
It's essentially a rigorous business plan for your life, boiled down to 3 sentences. But I have to ask you about the second question. We always talk about the what and the how, but why does this source specifically force us to answer the when?
That connects right back to the definitions we talked about in section 1.
The dream versus the plan.
Exactly. Answering the when and the how is exactly what transforms a dream, which is just a mere aspiration, into a plan, which is a detailed proposal.
Because a dream doesn't have a deadline.
A dream operates completely outside of time. You can hold a dream of starting a business for 30 years without acting on it, and it never fails because there's no expiration date.
But the moment you add the when,
The clock starts ticking, it introduces stakes, it forces you to synthesize everything you've learned in this document into 3 clear, simple, decided sentences.
it's incredible how much psychology is packed into this short guide.
It really is.
So just to recap the journey of this deep dive today, we moved from clearly defining our aspirations to choosing phrases that signal true, decided commitment.
Right, burning that "I'd like to" safety net.
Exactly. Then we embrace simplicity in how we speak, making sure we don't overpack our linguistic suitcase. And finally, we saw how to apply the 3-step framework for actual action.
And that brings us to you, the listener.
Yes, it's your turn.
The source promises that sharing your goals is inspiring. So we challenge you to grab a piece of paper right now. Don't wait. Answer those 3 questions for yourself.
Keep it simple.
Keep it very simple. What is the goal? When do you want to achieve it? And how will you work on it? 3 simple sentences.
I love that challenge. But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. Something that builds on this material.
Oh, I'm curious. What is it?
Well, the source focuses heavily on the mechanics of defining what you want to achieve and laying out a strict timeline for when.
Yeah, moving from abstract to concrete.
Right. But it leads us to ponder something bigger. What happens to our carefully crafted, detailed proposals when our core, cherished aspirations inevitably evolve?
Oh, because we grow and change as people.
Exactly. The architect changes over time. So, do we tear down the house or do we just renovate the plans?
That is a fascinating tension to think about.
It is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive and exploring this text with us. We really hope it helps you articulate your own ambitions, in English or otherwise.
Keep practicing and keep your communication clear.
We will see you all next time.